really good.
Of course,
at the,
the
end
visit
of it
by the president, they're just honoring his pledge and saying, listen, I promise you guys 2.5 million Kenya shillings. You're going to get that now. Prime Minister, of course, added another 500,000 to Okabi. But I think also the thing that really stood out for me from that game yesterday is that Kenyans behaved. It was orderly.
Bernard, it was my first time. The guys I met who've been to the previous 3 games were all telling me today is a whole different day. I'm not good at mathematics, but the ratio of cops to fans may not have been far away from 1 to 30 or 1 to 40. Everywhere you turned, there was a police officer, and he either had a gun or a djembe hand, and there was no messing around. There was no messing around. However, I must say this, it was very smooth. It was extremely smooth. We went with Teddy of Nation FM, and it was really smooth all the way in. Very thorough with the checks, very thorough with what you leave. You couldn't go in with a bottle, whether empty or full. They were very thorough in how it went. So yesterday was super smooth. Super smooth. And in the end, you could see even in the stadium, you could tell, yes, they wanted 27,000 fans. The official number was slightly under 27,000 fans, but you could see from the gaps that, yeah, maybe we weren't the 48,000 fans that we wanted.
Absolutely, indeed. Actually, it was 26,986 for Okabi, so shy by about 14 people. But Okabi continued reflecting on the African Nations Championship. Of course, remember, it's a unique one because 3 countries are hosting it, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. Okabi, you have a special guest today on the show. Who is it?
Yes, Bernard, we have with us a special guest, a man who I know from back in the days when we used to hustle and hit the typewriter or the computer, writing football stories. Now he's the man who's in charge of TV at CAF. He's also, like I was telling him earlier, he's also the acting director of communications. His title is rather long. We probably cannot fit it there on the scroll. We need the whole of it. But Mr. Lux September, thank you so much for honoring us, and nice seeing you again after many years.
Asante sana.
Tell me, what do you make of the Pamoja Chan? How has it been so far?
Yeah, I think for far too long, the spotlight has been away from East Africa in relation to hosting of major events in sport. I mean, here you've got some of the best athletes in athletics and track, and and so on, track and field. You've got some of the best footballers and everything else, but nobody has been talking about East Africa in relation to hosting major events.
Yeah,
I think Chen, this Chen has revived not just football, has revived the spirit of I can doism in East Africa in relation to major events. I mean, the Chen is being watched in over 80 countries globally. Kenya has a reference now to either any other, Sevens, IAAF, and everyone else that we can host major events. And look at our fans. Everybody else before the competition started had about, can it happen? But look at what it has done. I think the legacy of this Chen is that it would have been a catalyst of something different. I go to all the stadiums in all the 3 countries, and I've been to Kasarani, to Nyayo, and I see something I've never seen in Kenyan football in my life. And I've been coming here since 2008, back and forth and so on, when I was at FIFA, when I was at the PSL, and also here now that I'm at CAF. It's the first time I feel this spirit. I was saying this to Coach Benny. I said, Jesus, I've never seen something like this in Kenya before. What is happening here, the results of it, the fruits of it will be felt by Kenya in the long run. So credit must go to the government of Kenya, President Ruto, the president of CAF, Dr. Motsepe. I remember when there were some back and forth discussions about a lot of pending issues.
Yes.
We went to the State House, and I was with the President Motsepe. And President Ruto said to President Motsepe, we will do anything humanly possible to ensure that this chance succeeds as it must. But what it has done, it has brought so much joy to you guys. A little bit misbehaving sometimes. But there is a positive side of it in the fact that people are so excited. I think they cannot control themselves.
But someone told me, whispered to me yesterday, that this Chan, the Chan of 2024, is the most watched and with the most uptake from both broadcasting and a fan point of view.
For me, East Africa just makes sense in many ways. 400 million people, passionate people. I'm surprised that for a very long time that this part of the world has not necessarily been a hub of strong commercial activity and fan engagement globally. I think this region is a sleeping giant. And what this chain has done is really showcase what you guys can do. It's a preview of what you guys are capable of. And the beneficiaries of this is not just going to be CAF, it's going to be you guys in the media, because all of a sudden major events are going to come here. You guys are going to be exposed now to global standards and of course organizations. You have no idea what the 2010 World Cup did for my country, not on the field. From a skills point of view, it left skills. I mean, I was at FIFA at the time, but a lot of the people, I saw Russell Paul and a number of South Africans were here, who are literally from the 2010 World Cup. So in few years' time, in 10 years' time, there's going to be people who are leading sport in the African continent who say, I started at Chen.
From an organization point of view, what has CAF made? What are the wins? What are some of the places where you have felt, East Africa, you need to sort this out before AFCON comes in 2 years?
Look, I have to put a disclaimer. If you have not hosted anything for a very long time,
yes,
it's normal that you're going to have some challenges in relation to the capacity and the human. Not that people are stupid, they just haven't been exposed to something for a very long time, right? Now, the more you get the people in the groove, so to speak, and in the spirit of hosting and understanding what needs to be done, things will be a bit smoother. I mean, there were challenges we had last week, as you know, in security, whereby there was too much enthusiasm and everything else. But we sorted those things out. We sat down with the government, Ministry of Sport, the Football Federation, President Hussein, and of course the government at a very high level, the president of CAF, the head of state of Kenya. The engagement there is to create an alignment. It's normal that sometimes when you have these events, hosting for the first time, you're going to have this thing. I think you guys have to be so proud of what your country has been able to do in Kenya. You've got to be so proud of what this moment means for you. I see almost everywhere a Kenyan who's wearing a flag. When was the last time you saw this in your country? I'm not from here, but I follow sport here with the sevens, with athletics, of course, and everything else. But I follow sport of Kenya, but not in Kenya.
Lux, I'm interested to understand, you touched on it briefly, the complexities of having 3 countries hosting one tournament. You've touched on some of them, but what else has stood out for you? And how have you been able to resolve it?
Yeah. Look, it was always going to have its own headache sometimes. It's normal. It's 3 different countries in the one region. First of all, I mean, just to fly in between the 3 countries, my body is so sore at the moment.
Because you just arrived from Tanzania.
Yeah, I was in Dar es Salaam.
Yeah.
And tomorrow I'm going to somewhere else again. It's normal that you will have these situations, What I think needs to happen, because you guys have got the AFCON 2027, there has to be a lot of focus on detail, on a small detail. But I'm actually not worried about this, because I think the people now have an idea of what it means, and Chen is a small, he's a small fish to fry. AFCON is something else. It's another beast. I used to think I understand what AFCON means until I went to work at CAF. And I saw this thing is just something else. It's watched in 175 countries, 1.5 billion people on TV. It's the biggest single event on African soil.
So what advice would you give the locks, the 3 different locks and the big lock ahead of 2027? If you are to tell them, if you are to give them, guys, these are the 3 things you must make sure you are spot on before 2027.
Attention to detail. Get the right people always. I'm not saying you don't have the right people now. It's skills. And use the opportunity to market your country, to position your country for major global events. I think we have to reposition Africa as a proposition, so that when people come to Kenya, they don't lower the standards because it's Kenya. We have to use football, the most popular platform, the most powerful platform, to profile not just what we can do on the field or with sport, but what our countries can do. Our countries in Africa for the very long time have faced, as you all know, challenges. There are challenges today, but there are challenges in America. There are challenges in China. There are challenges everywhere else. But we talk about our challenges all the time. Sport and football is a way of bringing a culture of excellence. And through our success there, we can be able to create this. I think for me, what you really need to focus on is how you build on the legacy of this. It cannot end on the 30th of August. KPL must benefit from it. The Kenyan Premier League, which used to be I used to watch KPL. I mean, I know that South Africa used to take players from here, you know, Brian Mandela, Brian Onyango, a couple of players, Musa Otieno.
Santos, yeah.
Exactly. All these guys were from KPL that are strong. So you've got to bring a stronger KPL again, Police, Goma here, Matare, Taxa, all these guys, they have to be big household names again. It will not happen by magic, not by slogans. You've got to build from this legacy and be able to have the right people always who are from, actually, if I were you guys, I will take the people I'm earmarking for leadership in these great institutions and put them next to CAF people, PSL people, and wherever. And the sky is the limit here.
Let's come back to Chan and what's going on. One of the issues has been ticketing. Now we've had two sides of the ticketing issue. We've had the Kenya ticket issue, Kenya Morocco, Kenya Angola, and then on the other side we've had like the game yesterday, Angola versus DRC versus Morocco, where we are told the tickets are sold out, but then the stadium is not full. Maybe you could just clarify for people, how does it work?
Yeah, but you are being unfair.
Yes.
Because if the host nation is playing such an important game, at the same time there is another match 10 kilometers away, you can't use that as a yardstick. So you are being, your comparison is unfair. If my country is playing, I might have planned to go to that stadium, but I invested on the other match. I will probably go to the Fen Park and hope maybe it's 3-0, then I go to the other match. So you're not comparing apples with apples.
No, it wasn't a comparison. I was just saying we've had two extremes. So
but my point is this: you cannot use that in any way. Because that one is not an accurate reflection of anything.
So let's talk about the Kenya games. Because CAF came out and said, guys, you need to get your act together. There are some of the things we weren't getting right there.
Naturally, yes. But again, for me, I won't be very worried about this because it's normal if you have not hosted any major event in a very long time to have these challenges. The ticketing issue anywhere else sometimes is a challenge. I went to the UEFA Champions League 2 years ago and there was almost a stampede because of tickets. So it's not a unique African problem, but it's how you respond to it, how you plan for it and everything else. That's why CAF was very proactive in sitting down with the government here and saying, how do we sort out this situation? I mean, you've got now an upcoming quarterfinal match. It's important, again, that we focus on the detail, create the fan parks, make sure they work, make sure the people are inside the stadium, make sure there's enough security, and I think we will be successful.
Lux, how do we replicate the same? Because you said, you mentioned the Kenyan Premier League, because what we're getting is a sense of how to professionalize everything, the entire football ecosystem. How do we cascade that to the local leagues as well? For example, in Kenya, in Tanzania, in Uganda, is there intentional plans for that to happen post-Chan?
You've got to, you know, I mean, I don't understand this thing of us Africans. You've got to develop your own thing all the time. This obsession with European leagues must stop. We are so obsessed with European leagues, we make no money from it. There's no commercial ecosystem that is revolving around us when it comes to European leagues. You've got to build your own thing. How do you make sure that Kenya, the best talent of Kenya, stays in Kenya? The next Vincent is here, doesn't move anywhere else. You know, the next McDonald's doesn't move anywhere else, plays here. That's the only way, right? I mean, there is this guy who's at Simba, I forget the short one now. Shongasa, you know. How do you make sure that he comes back to play for Taxa or Goma here? Because in that way, people will be interested to go to the stadium to watch him. And this happens because you have to get the right administrators with the right commercial understanding, sponsorship understanding, media understanding. And then you've got to get the media in the country to support the league strongly, to have a vested interest in growing and developing the league. And the leagues will not just develop if they're not run professionally. I worked for a professional league for 8 years or whatever, and it was not by magic. They sent people to the UK in the early 2000s and late 90s to look what happens in the EPL, what happens with the Liga, not to copy them, but to benchmark and say, what can we do different? And their policy of where I come from is we keep, we don't sell.
True.
Why should the aspiration of a player who's playing at Hearts of Oak to play in a Belgium B division? or to play in League 2 in France. Why? Why should you be so celebrating when a player leaves Goma here to play in Danish league? No disrespect to Danish league, of course. You should be saying we have to raise. I mean, Kenya is the economic hub of East Africa. All the major institutions are here. So money is here. You need to have the right people to develop your own thing.
Yeah.
You guys cannot be in the sport bulletins here profiling the EPL every day, but you're not talking about what is happening at KPL. I mean, I'm not trying to say that's what you guys do.
Lux, let's talk about CHAN. It's been going on since 2009. How does CAF feel about how far it's gone, especially when you look at the Pamoja CHAN?
I think CAF is flirting with a number of options in how to develop and grow African football. At the base of it is not, it's actually to strike a balance between development and commercial viability. For the longest time, we've been talking about whether CHAN is commercially viable. But it's got another role, by the way, in giving a platform to young players, not to be sold to Europe. Please, let's stop this thing. You know, to gain international experience. Yes. Because now you guys are going to play qualifier. Benny McCarthy has got a bigger pool to choose from now, right now, because these players would have had about 6 caps in the competition. If, of course, they get to be scouted somewhere else, that's great, no problem. The CHAN has got that role to play in giving local talent. Now, what we are doing now at CAF is that we are evolving our assessment on everything we have, maybe with the exception of AFCON. I mean, there's a new format that is coming out of Women's AFCON that is going to come out in the next... There is an EXCO coming up in Kenya, a historic EXCO on the 30th. And there will be major decisions around the format of the Women's AFCON. You know?
Yeah.
We shall remember this as the Kenya Accord.
Lux, prize money has been increased. How important is that to give the teams participating extra motivation to perform at their optimum?
You need money to develop African football, to develop football. For the first time, football money, no. Football money is going back to football. The prize money of Women's AFCON 3 years ago was $200,000 US. Women's AFCON. Today, Women's AFCON is $1 million. By the way, the prize money of CONMEBOL, CONCACAF is 1.5. AFC is 800,000. UEFA is 3 million. That means that we are 50% away from UEFA.
Yep.
Africa is not far. But that is the strategy of the president of CAF to say, but you know, without investment, forget it. The clubs participating in the CAF Champions League, how are they going to be able to travel if there is no financial incentive? For the first time in the history of CAF, if you qualify for the prelims, you get $100,000 US. That's a life-changing money, as you guys were talking about 2.5 million shillings not so long ago, right? Now, to Taxa United, it all of a sudden means, ooh, I can qualify and actually not worry about my travel expenses for at least 3-4 games, right? This is what you need to develop football. That's why everything in life is about leadership. And a leadership that has got a very uncompromising way of looking at things in relation to the culture of excellence. You cannot compromise excellence. You cannot compromise, you can compromise everything, but not your standards on excellence. And my boss, who keeps me awake every night.
Do you even sleep, Lux?
I don't, you know. You should, you know. We had a general assembly in Cairo, and this is a true story.
Right.
We had a general assembly in Cairo, and the elections general assembly, right? And we finished working with him at 4:30 in the morning. So I walked to my room very slowly on the other side, and I got there at 5:10 in the morning. And I thought, it's 5:10 in the morning. I cannot sleep now. So I just sat there, watched TV, took a shower, and I didn't sleep. You know? So I went 2 days with no sleep. But it's because, you know, that's why I've realized more than ever the importance of having the right leaders. A person whose heart is in the right place. And the person who's got, I mean, with my boss, if you don't want to work, you must be out of the door. It's that, there are no compromises with Dr. Motsepe. That is what we need. He's not a saint, nobody is. Right? He makes his own mistakes as well. He's made a lot of errors. He'll be the first one to admit on this. But the culture is excellence and no second best.
Lux, maybe we finish, and as we finish, first of all, a bit of bad news. Your home country, unfortunately, finishes third. Uganda got a last-minute goal. So it's Uganda, Algeria, then South Africa. Bafana, Bafana. So I know your heart will be torn because you have Kenyan now.
No, but
you have Kenyan, half Ugandan. I'm not sure how you're feeling about it.
I'm not even watching that game, you know.
That's why I had to finish with it. Like I know your heart is because you have now you're. I'm not sure. Is it half or is it a third? A third Kenyan, a third Tanzanian, a third Ugandan?
No, I mean, I'm very happy for Uganda to go through. I think it's very good for host nations to go through. Kenya is through, Uganda is through, Tanzania is through. And
and all of them top of their group, so they all play at home.
100% they would play at home. When I'm here, I don't wear the South African hat.
You wear the CAF hat.
I'm here representing the interest of CAF, and this is the interest of CAF that the host nation must go through, right?
Yes.
And the people in South Africa will sort out whatever they need to sort out themselves, right?
Lux, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you making time on Sport and just to share your thoughts reflecting on the African Nations Championship. Okabi, of course, it's important to inform our viewers that this coming Wednesday we'll be having a technical study group that will be reflecting on the performance of the group stages. So that will be happening on NTV at 11 a.m. That is on Wednesday, the 20th of August, 2025. For now, we take a very short break. We're back with much more on Sport On. Stay tuned.